All right, tonight we're going to be focusing on four primary things: the leadership team for Clayton Valley Charter Tech Academy that will ensure a successful charter school. And second, we're going to look at two challenges facing our society that puts our country at great risk. And then we're going to look at the mission of Clayton Valley Charter Tech Academy, and then finally the quality of our charter petition. We'll try to get this done as quickly as possible, as we know you're probably taping the debate, and we know that we want to get on down to watch that. Albert Einstein said, "Great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds." This quote has been a driving force in my life as an educational reformer. Dr. Bill Daggett said, "School reform is not something to be taken lightly, as the forces of tradition will step in your way and try to stop you every time." But the challenges facing our students and our country are so great that we cannot look the other way any longer. You see, there are solutions to mediocrity that is so pervasive in schools today. We can do something about it, and we can prepare our students for college and great careers of the 21st century. A quote I've often had on my wall for years goes like this: "We must prepare students for their future and not our past." And that is what has been going on for over a century. If Rip Van Winkle woke up today after 100 years of sleep, the one place that he would feel most comfortable is the American high school classroom. CVCTA has the mission, the vision, the leadership to guide them to putting into practice the solutions that will lead our students to college and great careers that afford them a middle-class lifestyle. So I'd like to introduce you to our people. And let me see if we can get this going here. And so I'm the lead petitioner, Dave Linzey, and I'm the executive director of Clayton Valley Charter High School. I've been a school superintendent down in Riverside County. I've been a chief academic officer for the largest charter school management company in Los Angeles that has 27 charters. Bill Gates has selected them as one of the top 3 urban districts in the nation, funded them and their partner CMOs with $64 million for their work on teacher effectiveness. Been a high school principal, most notably for Diamond Ranch High School, which took the school from a 6-2 to a 10-10. 10 statewide, 10 similar schools ranking. Served as the principal of Southridge Middle School, following the National Educator of the Year, Gary Soto, as one of the top middle schools in the nation. I've been doing this for a long time, and the results at Clayton Valley Charter speak for themselves. And we were invited to Congress to talk about how did we get such great achievement results, not only at Clayton Valley, but in my career. And so, Richard Azadorian, 40-year career in education, is not with us tonight. He'll be with us in November. He's also a lead petitioner. And Richard was a principal in Fresno, teacher, school counselor, but passionate about student success. Richard serves on our board. Richard's been on the county board. Richard and his wife have been committed to excellence in education, no matter where it is and no matter how you find it. And then Sam Cove. Sam Cove is a new person in my life, a wonderful person, high IQ, off the charts, millennialist from England, who has a passion for education. I'd like Sam to introduce himself.
Thank you all for giving us your time today. Hugely appreciate it. So, as Dave said, I'm probably quite different to a lot of the folks here. In fact, that I'm not part of, like, say, Clayton Valley Charter High School or anything like that. I'm someone that is hugely passionate about education. All of my family are teachers, so that's certainly a kind of core part to me, both in England, Canada, and the US. I live here in the Bay Area. I've both been a part of kind of the tech industry and continue to be working both at Microsoft and looking after Microsoft's relationships with technology companies like Facebook and Google. And now I actually also work for a education startup in the Bay Area. So hopefully resonate with some of the mindsets and experiences and things that some of our hopeful students will be going through, an understanding of that industry perspective to help bring alongside the educational leadership of Dave and Richard and everyone else.
Thank you. And there's an advisory council that is working closely with us and helping us draft the vision, the mission, the petition. And 3 of us, Eileen Linzey, Barbara Cowan, Ted Merriam, and Merle Hall, whom you may know, former mayor of Walnut Creek and an advocate of charter schools. So these are the folks. So challenge number 1 I'd like to talk about, and that is our jobs are changing and have been changing, but the skill set haven't been staying up with the jobs. And so, and we're going to flip through these pretty quickly. Web 1.0, decades ago, changed the whole nature of industry, of the work environment. Millions of jobs were lost as industries went under due to the internet. And then Web 2.0 is relational and the social media and all that. But Web 3.0 is anticipatory, artificial intelligence, deep data mining. And they tell us that Web 3.0 is going to change industry and careers far more than Web 1.0 ever did. When you go into the airports and you see kiosks and all that, and jobs were gone because technology has replaced all kinds of industries. And so we're going to take a look at that and how it's going to impact our country. So says the Census Bureau, the United States Department of Statistics. And so we're looking at the impact of automation. 5% of the jobs can be automated, but 30% of tasks in 60% of the jobs will become automated. They're already telling us this, that the whole nature of the workforce over the next 20 years is going to change more than it has in the past 40 years. Technology information systems will change our lives. The lost jobs over the next 20 years, 99% of telemarketers, 96% of secretarial administrative assistants, 94% of accountants and auditors, 89% of technical writers, 65% machinists, 43% economists. I can't see that, but it's probably around 40% of health technologists. Those are entire industries and career markets that are going to be lost as information comes in. But if we're not preparing our kids for the skill sets necessary for careers, we're going to have a real problem economically. And here's what it says: by 2040, we will be gaining for high-skilled, high-income jobs. It'll be increasing to 33%. But look at the middle-class jobs being cut down to very few. The low-paying, the low-wage jobs will be going up from what was 12% to 25%, doubling. And they'll be serving those high-income people with jobs that won't be paying taxes, won't be contributing to the economy, and won't be able to lead a family to pay their bills. And so what's going to happen, and it's already happening, is going to be drastic impact on our country. Here's a slide that I'd like to share with you, and I'd love to come back to the county office to go more in depth. But by 2040, 74 million of our people will be under the age of 18. 80 million will be over 65. Those folks are not working and contributing to the economy. 127 million folks will be not working full-time, and they're in the age where they could be working full-time. And therefore, they won't be contributing. 50% of them will not be contributing to the economy. As a matter of fact, it says half of them will be on government assistance pulling from the economy. So if you have 74 million and 80 million not participating, and then half of this, which is 63 million, then who's contributing and paying for the economy as we have a $20 trillion deficit and increasing day by day? And then 7% of the workforce is people like me. We're working, we're paying taxes, but all of our income comes from the tax base. Government workers, police force, fire, etc. They're pulling from the taxes. That leaves you with 9% really funding the economy by 2040. That's the problem we're in, and that's what's facing the economy. And so my only question is what kind of workers do you want for those 9%? Poor people or people able to contribute to the economy? Obviously, you want people that are working, able to contribute to the economy to float the system. So that's what we have. Sam, take it away.
So there is good news. The good news is that, we've been talking a lot about how the jobs are changing, the skills therefore needed for a lot of these jobs are changing. But even today, there are a lot of estimates that saying that there are 3 million jobs that should and could be filled by Americans in the US alone, not even including the rest of the world, that we don't have the right skill sets. We haven't kind of prepared people, whether that's in school or after school, to have the right skill sets for them. And if you look at how we compare to the rest of the world, so take China for example, we have roughly about 4% of our students that go to university are doing engineering degrees. China has, as you can see, over 30%. So in terms of, are we choosing the right strategic choices to prepare ourselves for the future? Some other countries are already there and already thinking about it, at least a lot more so than we have so far. And then, so this is a quote, sorry, it's a little bit cut off, but from Lieutenant Governor Newsom, that talks about this specifically for California and says that there are tens of thousands of jobs in California that really could and should be filled by Californians, by Americans, but we haven't yet evolved our skill sets for all people to help kind of meet this opportunity. And that was part of the recent Governor Brown's bill signing as well. So we talked about one challenge, which is keeping up with changing skill sets. The other one, and this is a very hot topic in education, is around kind of personalization of learning. So we've summed it up as different students have different needs, and I think everyone broadly would probably agree with that. But just kind of a few points to kind of, I guess, reinforce that. One, of course, the cost of college is going up dramatically. So we can see there, 3 times cost increase for private schools, 4 times cost increase for public schools, just since 1980. So in a kind of pretty short period of time. So college is becoming very, very, very expensive. Another part of that is that even the students that can go to college and do go to college, most of them aren't graduating. So if we look up here, we can see for both 4-year degrees and 2-year degrees, the vast majority of students aren't graduating. And the interesting point, which is kind of covered up at the bottom, says less than 1 in 3 are graduating from a 2-year degree after 3 years. So even if we give them an extra year, they still haven't graduated. And likewise, less than 1 in 4 are graduating from a 4-year degree after 5 years. So a lot of people are paying, a lot of people are investing their time, their money to go along to education and aren't necessarily getting what maybe they expected at the beginning of it. And then this essentially kind of reinforces that, shows those points again in terms of the percentages of people that are graduating and dropping out in the first 2 years of college alone. You've got over 30%, over 40% of students dropping out from those different degree programs. So what can we do about this? It's kind of what we're talking about. And then if you look at the cost increases, it's going to dramatically, for medicine, it's gone up by over 280%. Higher education has gone up over 530%. I mean, that's huge, huge increases. And then student loans. So obviously student loans are a hot topic in the presidential debates. You can see that a lot of people are having real kind of challenges with them. And is that sustainable, especially as an ever smaller percentage of our people are kind of being those contributors, that 9% that we saw earlier. So ultimately it comes down to, is college worth the investment? And you might kind of be thinking, why are you talking about colleges, considering we're talking about a high school? And college can be a great investment, but it obviously depends on the student, it depends on the major. When we talk about majors, we can see that here are some kind of average salaries for various different majors. And what I want to just draw attention to is that we've got both 2-year and 4-year degrees on here. And it's a little bit hard to read, but essentially the left hand, the red degrees, that's a 4-year degree. So, the student has invested a significant amount of time and money, obviously, in that degree. The middle column is a 2-year degree. And what you can see is that for the right 2-year associate's degree, you can earn, on average, significantly more money than from some of these 4-year degrees. So associate's degrees can have fantastic benefits for people, and obviously not everyone wants to do a 4-year degree anyway, so they can have some real value. On the right-hand side, you can see what happens if you choose a 4-year major that has great earning potential. Some of them do have some fantastic offers, but essentially what we're saying here is that your major really matters, and that we want students to be equipped to have the choice and also to understand that and to know what they're kind of choosing for themselves.
And the key word there is your major matters a lot. We think, and we're still operating, our high schools are still operating on a very old paradigm that going to college was the goal. We went to college. The boomerangers are telling us that if you major in the wrong major, you're coming back home to live and you're going to work at Starbucks. And that's happened by the tens and the hundreds of thousands. We need to guide our kids in high school with the right skills to pick the right majors that leads to a middle-class lifestyle. And so here's the majors last year for bachelor's degrees for American colleges. Number 1, business. Number 2, general studies. Number 3, social science. Number 4, psychology. Number 5, health professions. 6, education. 7, visual and performing arts. 8, engineering and technology. 9, communications and journalism. And 10, computer and information sciences. The rest of the world got the message though. And I'm going to show you their majors and how they do it and what order they do it in, because somehow, unlike America, they learned that going to college was for a career. So there's their majors. Number 1 was the same as ours, business. But our number 2 was their number 10, general studies. What does that lead to? A great job at Starbucks, hopefully, if you have good skills. Their number 3 is computer science. That's our number 10. And so you can see number 2 in the world is engineering and technology. For us, it's number 8. And that's what's going on. We're sending kids to college. They're not getting those good jobs, and they're not even able to pay their student loans back. And so they go live with mom and dad. So here's the top 10 bachelor degrees last year. And you can see it's engineering, pharmacy, mathematics and computer science, aerospace, chemical engineering, electrical engineering, naval architecture and marine engineering, mechanical engineering, etc. What do they have in common? Those are STEM jobs: science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. President Obama said in January at his State of the Union address, we should offer every student the computer science and math classes that make them job ready on day 1. They get it. So what's the solution? Bay Area charter schools, we want our kids in Contra, Costa County to have a shot at getting in the right major, at getting skills that will lead to, whether it's high-paying 2-year jobs at BBC and Los Medanos, or 4-year colleges that come out with employable skills because there's a job market. Our mission is to equip every student to be college and career ready in the 21st century. And so we're offering the dual enrollment program, innovation and learning methods, and we want to be a competition. Charter schools are supposed to be, by nature, competitive alternative choices for public schools. Why? So everybody upgrades their programs, their skill sets, their products. Where are they turning out? And Clayton Valley has done a tremendous job. Clayton Valley Charters High School, 99% grad rate, 94% college admissions rate. This year, Clayton Valley is offering digital arts. We're starting an academy for computer sciences. But we think that there's another school that needs to be made county-wide where kids can come and get those high-tech skills and be competitive when they graduate for a 4-year college in those engineering, those STEM majors. Furthermore, we want to cut the costs down for when they go to college by letting them knock out a year or even 2 years of college, community college, while they're in high school, a dual enrollment program. That's what we're going after. So we're going to serve students in grades 6, 12, one or more sites, wherever the kids are that want to attend. It could be Richmond, it could be San Ramon, it could be Pittsburgh, and it could start, of course, in our neck of the woods. Opportunity to become college and career ready. Take college courses now while in high school to cut their college tuition and their room and board costs. Learn the high-tech skills. So it's a county-wide charter petition. We want every student within Contra Costa County to have a chance to go if they want to. Many of them obviously won't want to. They're hooked into their school and good for them. But there are many that want to go to a charter school, and we're a testament to that, as every year we have 500 to 600 freshmen on a wait list that can't get into our school. And so my board said, Dave, we're tired year after year of doing nothing about it. We want to do something. Let's sponsor it. Let's help kick it off. Let's get a board. Let's hire a great executive director to run that and a principal. And then let's help support them, because we have all the systems in place to support. So that's the goal. So we're going to wrap this up real quick, because I heard a bell go off. We have outstanding innovative instructional methods. The rigor and relevance framework, the framework for the 21st century, those are all in your appendices. Self-directed learning, and most importantly, flipped learning. We have classrooms across America focused on delivering basic information when kids can access it themselves. Sam, real quick, hit that.
Yeah, so flipped learning is essentially the idea that instead of asking a kid to sit down and be quiet for an hour or two, which is kind of against human nature, right? We're social creatures. So instead the idea is that rather than you ask them to be quiet in the classroom and then you give them some homework to do afterwards where they go off and figure things out by themselves, we instead say, hey, why don't you watch the lectures in your own time? You can replay it, you can go through things, you can look at it as much as you want without feeling silly, or it gives everyone a chance to digest it in their own way. And then when they're in the classroom, they can be social, they can be practical, they can be hands-on, they can be working with each other, they can be working with teachers or teaching assistants. The teachers can be going from student to student to do personalized learning, depending if it's a high-achieving student or a student that needs some extra support. So it allows for a much greater level of personalization. Then these are some stats that basically show the results from a school that implemented flipped learning, and it had dramatic results, very quantifiable results on how students were doing and their success. So it sounds like a good idea, but it also quantifiably is a good idea for students, for sure.
Great, and then as educational partners and as a key program for our Tech Academy, Sam has been a part of the TEALS program. Real quickly on TEALS.
Yeah, so TEALS is Microsoft's educational kind of volunteer partnership program, essentially, which is saying, hey, we live in the Bay Area. There's many benefits to that in terms of geography and so on, but obviously there are a lot of tech people in the Bay Area. Why wouldn't we want to take advantage of the incredible network, A, from a professional development perspective for all students and staff and so on as well, but B, also in terms of providing a mentoring opportunity for all these professionals. They're usually very driven personalities and want to be helping their wider community, and allow them to connect with their students. Surely that seems like a good idea. So programs like TEALS was launched by Microsoft to enable not just Microsoft, but tech professionals in general to come in as volunteer assistants. Obviously, every student still has a kind of teacher in the classroom, but to allow for that kind of more one-to-one learning, for example, might have multiple volunteers coming in alongside a teacher to provide industry expertise. And then, for example, as the student continues to develop throughout high school, help them with things like creating their resume or preparing for job interviews, or some of these professional skills that are so core to making sure that once they graduate, they're set up for success, whether they're going off to college or if they're going straight into the workforce. So this is one of the programs that we think would be a great fit for Clayton Valley Tech Academy, but there are lots of other similar programs from other kind of tech companies in the Bay Area as well, and we're essentially saying that we should take advantage of these.
Very good. And the core academic program is A through G. We really want every student to graduate with A through G. Challenging curriculum. Yes.
Well past your...
Okay, we'll wrap this up right now, sir. I got it. Let me hit my last slide. To close this off with, it's a dual enrollment program, and a tech academy, and we're committed to helping all of our kids go to college and come out with careers 4 years later or sooner that lead to middle-class lifestyle. That's what we're about. Thank you so much.